What's up guys, Burden here from AddictGaming.com. Today I'm going to show you a warrior build using the longbow and using the sword shield weapon set combo. As you see I'm repping the Addict Gaming colors on my warrior right now. So this build is very good in high condition damage, mostly single target, and it's also very good for crowd control, for stuns and knockbacks and things like that. You can really put a lot of pressure on a person, and you do get some pretty good bursts from some of your abilities. Now, this build does take a little while to get used to, but once you get used to it, I think you will really enjoy this build. So you can really have control over somebody with your shield bash and your bulls charge. So let's talk about the weapons real quick. This build is very adrenaline hungry, so I decided to bring healing surge because it gives you full adrenaline, and you're gonna need to be using your burst abilities a lot in this build. So the longbow, the burst ability we have is combustive shot. Ignite the area, burning nearby foes, and what this is great for is it creates a combo field for the rest of our abilities. So usually when I start off a match, I'll actually use my heal before the fight starts, and then I can use my combustive shot, put it down, and then you have your pin down, your number 5, which is an immobilize, your number 4, which is a blind. Then you have your number 3, which is also a combo finisher that gives you area might, and it has a nice little burst to it. And then you have your number 2, which is actually if you're standing on your combustive shot field and you use your number 2, which is your fan of fire, the burning you stack on is actually really high, and you'll see that you're doing tons of damage with your fan of fire as long as you're standing on your combo field. So let's see. Here's my combo field. And then here's my fan of fire. So I hit him with all 3 arrows, and you can see all the condition he's taking just from that one shot. So make sure you get into like melee range, and you're standing on your combo field when you use your fan of fire. That way you'll do a lot of condition damage. Okay, so another great thing about the combustive shot in the longbow weapon set is for when we switch to our sword shield combo set. We have 2 leap finishers, and if we use a leap finisher, here we go. I'll use Shield Bash. We gain a Fire Shield. So not only will this, it makes us look a little scary, right? But it also helps us stack conditions on people as well. So the Sword and Shield focuses mainly on a lot of bleeding and cripple, but since we'll have the Fire Shield, we'll also be burning as well. So the main goal of the sword shield combo set is to be closing gaps, to be putting pressure on one person. You can put a lot of pressure on a person as long as you're using your gap closers. Like you have your Savage Leap, which is actually really far distance, and it's a very good movement skill. And then you have your Shield Bash, which is actually pretty short. So you want to make sure that you're like, this is the right here, this is the range of it. So it is a pretty short range, but it does do 1 second stun. What that look at that, I even missed. I was actually out of range. But what it does is it stuns them for a second for you to be able to use your flurry. So with the shield bash and the savage leap, those are 2 gap closers we have. But we also have Bull's Charge, which is another gap closer. So I use Bull's Charge and I knock the person down, which gives me time to cast my flurry. Now flurry is the burst skill in sword and shield. And basically, what it does is it causes more bleeding, and the longer and a longer immobilize depending on how many bars of adrenaline you have. So if I let me switch my weapons. Since we do have a trait that reduces the cooldown of weapon swapping, we can swap weapons pretty fast. All right, so at a max adrenaline, we get 12 bleeds, and then we get almost 5 seconds of an immobilize. So if you can imagine a thief or a mesmer being stuck in our flurry, I see we actually ended up stacking about 15 bleeds because of our sigils and our traits, and you can just kind of see the bleeds pouring off of them. So if you can imagine like a thief or a mesmer getting caught in our flurry, it's really good for. I love it for team fights when if you're like coordinating and calling out targets, you can really put on pressure on a target, and then when you use your flurry and immobilize them, then you can have the other burst classes on your team really focus fire on that one person. So I love it as like kind of a controller in a team fight, someone who's going to be calling out targets, and as soon as your team sees you use your flurry on somebody, they should be kind of like dogs, just like attacking that guy. So For the sword and shield, it's all about gap closing and putting pressure on your opponent, making them become more defensive, and that way it makes your team able to be more offensive. Okay, so for the utilities, I'm using Signet of Stamina. Now you can use Balance Stance instead. I was using Balance Stance for a while before I was using Signet of Stamina, but I do like it for the faster endurance regen because dodging is the best damage mitigation that you can have in the game, and it cures all conditions, which is something a warrior really needs. So I decided to bring Signet of Stamina. It does make stomping and resing a little harder, which as long as you have somebody in your team that's able to do that, then it's okay. But if you don't, then you might want to think about bringing Balance Stance. And I bring Endure Pain. It is a long cooldown, but in group fights, if you do start getting focused, you're not going to survive for too long. So Endure Pain is a great way to survive for a little bit to kind of make a little escape and then come back. Well, with this build, if I'm getting focused fire, I won't hesitate to run away from the fight for a second because we have Savage Leap. So if like I had three guys focus firing on me, I could turn around, use my Savage Leap, and even use my Bulls Charge if I needed to, and I'm pretty far away from the fight. And then hopefully they'll switch focus onto one of the more tanky guys. Then I could come back in the fight. Maybe I'll come back in the fight with my longbow and then, throw my longbow skills back down. So it's all about moving around, being a little more mobile. You really don't want to be standing in the middle of a group fight with this as long as you're being focused down. If you're not being focused down, then it's great. So as I said, for the last utility, I have Bulls Charge, which is another gap closer. That's really good for using in our sword shield weapon set. Actually, one trick I like to do with Bulls Charge is you could use Bulls Charge and then you can hit your pin down with your longbow if you're still in your longbow set. Then you can switch to your sword shield combo and then use your flurry. So it looks something like this. You use your Bulls Charge, and then you use your pin down, and then you switch, and then you can use your flurry. So it's actually like I'm not sure how long's the mobilize. 3.5 second immobilize on pin down, plus the almost 5 seconds if your adrenaline is full. So it's almost like a 7 to 8 second immobilize if you do something like that. Anyway, no, I don't always do that, but sometimes it comes up. Alright, let's look at our traits really quick. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but for our minor trait, damage foes at the end of a dodge roll. For our major trait in strength, using a heal skill removes crippled, chill, immobilize, and weakness. This will give us a little more mobility, so we're not being focus fired too much. In arms, we have 33% chance to cause bleeding on critical hits. We have bleeds you apply lasts 50% longer. Critical burst skills have a 10% increased critical chance. Now, you'll see that I'm going to switch topics for a second. I am using the carry-on amulet, which does not come with precision, okay? So my crit chance is sitting around 26%. So some people might say that's not high enough to bring like a crit sigil, which I am wearing. I'm using Sigil of Superior Earth on my sword, and I'm using Sigil of Superior Accuracy on my shield, and also a Sigil of Superior Earth on my longbow. So I'm bringing Sigil of Superior Accuracy to help with my crit chance. So right now, if I'm in my sword shield combo, I'm actually at 31% crit chance. But you'll see, I don't really need the precision because I'm going to be getting a lot of crit through my arms trait. So using my burst skills, I have a 10% increased critical chance. So now, if I'm in my sword shield combo, my flurry has a 41% chance of critting, which is already pretty high. And then increases your critical hit chance with the sword by 10%. So now my flurry is at 51%, and my sword is at 41% crit. So I really don't need to bring like the rabbit amulet with the precision on it because I get plenty of crit on my sword already through my runes and through my traits and through the Sigil of Superior Accuracy. Now, Attack of Opportunity increases damage to bleeding foes by 10%. Now, since we're going to be attacking, whoever we attack is going to be bleeding just because our auto attack is bleeds. So that's just a 10% increased damage overall. Critical hits grant extra adrenaline. Now, this is I said before, it's a very adrenaline hungry build. You're going to be using your burst skills a lot. So anything to increase our adrenaline gain is good. 10 in Tactics, Determined Revival, gain 5 extra toughness per level while reviving. And stronger bowstrings increases longbow range, which just, you can stay out of the battle a little bit if you need to. Now for discipline, I have 20. I have versatile rage, gain 5 strikes of adrenaline on weapon swap. Let me see if I can show this. I think I'm still in combat. So I use my burst skill, get rid of my adrenaline. Now I do have natural adrenaline gain, and then if I switch, you can see how much I get from it. So I switched once, switched twice. I'm almost up to 2 full bars already. Now, heightened focus. Now this is also increasing our crit chance based on our adrenaline. So if I'm doing a 3 bar adrenaline flurry, I'm already sitting at like 60% crit chance. So that's why if some people are wondering if I don't have enough crit chances in this build, I have plenty of crit chance with the sword shield weapon set anyway. Okay, fast hands weapon swapping recharges 5 seconds faster. So make sure you're swapping weapons as much as you can, but I probably 70% of the time I'm in the sword shields weapon sweat, the weapon set, and then I'll switch to my longbow when I want to throw down my combustive shot. I want to throw down some AoEs and things like that. And then Signet Mastery, Signets recharge 20% faster. Since I am using 2 Signets, that makes sense. Okay, for my runes, I'm using Rune of Lisa. I love these on the warrior because the warrior does struggle with condition damage. So I do have Signet Stamina, which cures all conditions, and now because I have Runes of Lisa, whenever I use my elite, which is only a 48-second cooldown, it's not very long. It removes all conditions as well, and it gives me all boons for 5 seconds. So I have now, with the Signet of Stamina and my Runes of Lisa, or sorry, my Signet of Rage, with my 6-set bonus of Runes of Lisa, I now have 2 utilities that basically remove all conditions from me, and the Signet of Rage gives me extra on top of that, all the boons as well. Okay, well, I think that's it as far as the build goes. I hope you guys understood it. I remember that it is going to take a while to get a little used. It takes a while to get used to. When I first started playing it, I didn't really understand it too well. But you'll kind of start understanding as you're PvPing on how to control people. Look at all those conditions, how to just stack conditions on people. And really gap closing and things like that, and making sure you're calling out targets, and when you use your flurry, your teammates are focus firing on that person. So let's jump into some PvP. I'll get some PvP clips for you guys, and then show you kind of this. I'll try to show you this build in action, and hopefully you guys can try it out for yourselves and just tell me what you think of the build. Okay guys, so here's a few clips of me playing on the warrior build. They're very short, but hopefully you get the idea of using this build. So you can see I used my combustive shot, and then I used my fan of fire on this mesmer, which really stacked up the burn on him, and then I was able to actually catch him. I used my bolts charge and caught him in a flurry, and he was done with. I used to have a lot of trouble against mesmers with this build, but as you learn how to play it, it becomes much easier against mesmers. Now here's a tip for like Spirit Watch or any map where the middle point is close. You can see I popped my heal at the spawn, and it actually gives me full stacks of adrenaline. So now when I'm coming to this middle fight, it's 3-on-3, and I have full stacks of adrenaline. I can do much more. So you can see I'm pounding away on this warrior right now. I was able to hit him with my fan of fire in my combustive field, which puts a lot of burning on him, like you should know already. And I put a ton of bleed on him because I caught him in a flurry. So one of these other warriors ended up going down first. So I throw my combustive shot right on top of these guys, so if they try to res him, they're going to be taking a lot of damage through my finishers on my longbow. Now me and this warrior are going at it one-on-one. Unfortunately, he thinks he's going to beat me. I end up catching him with all 3 arrows of the fan of fire. I put my combustive shot down and switched to my sworded shield, and then I use my leaf finisher, so I gain the fire shield, and now it's just he's just trying to run away. All it took was 1 or 2 more hits of my sword and he went down. Unfortunately, our team got a little overrun in the middle, but this is the same match a little later on. Put down my combustive shot, using my combo finishers, and I was able to catch this warrior again. This is the same guy I was fighting before. Caught him with my flurry, and you can see him running. He actually uses Shake It Off to remove the condition, and yeah, he's not getting away from me. So I have too many gap closers. I use Savage Leap and then just put my cripple on him, and he's not going anywhere. So I think this is a different match. I'm against a ranger right now, and actually rangers are probably the biggest problem I have. Just a certain build is the trap ranger builds. I really have problems with on this build, just mostly because the conditions just rip right through me. But this guy I had no problem with. I don't think he was too high level or anything like that. Now I wanted to show you this video for an example. I bulls charged this Ellie and then did my flurry. I got him stuck in a place and he couldn't dodge. So Ceres was able to cast his big AoE in Earth and he couldn't get out of it. So that's just one of the benefits of running a build like this, because you can trap people and you can really cut people off to where your teammates can get some easy kills. So now I'm just running down to throw the orb, throwing my AoEs down, and just use make sure you're using your finishers while you're in the combustive field. So I think I was out of it when I used a few of those, but just make sure you're in it. So anyway, we're able to get that guy to drop the orb. Now just kind of running around looking for people to kill. Here's the Ellie again, I think, that we killed earlier. I used my Bull's Charge and then I catch him in a flurry once again. And I'm actually hitting some of the Necro's pets as well, so that's always a good thing. Now I pull out my Longbow so I get hit him with my Immobilize, and then I throw down my number 3 and then my Combustive Shot. I don't think my Combustive Shot hit him that much, so if at all. But by the time he gets up to the point, he's already dead, because he was already burning and bleeding pretty badly. Anyway, so I hope you guys try out this build and let me know what you think. I'm gonna express again that it does take a little while to get used to, because you have to really time some of your abilities, because if you use it at the wrong time, it's just not going to work out. If it's blocked or if it's dodged or something like that, you really have to be thinking about what the enemy's doing and catch them when they're off guard. So I hope you try this build out and let me know how it goes. Thanks, guys.